I think a lot of people thought we were a little bit crazy. I think a lot of people maybe doubted the fact that we would actually do it. We are very, very grateful for this lifestyle that we've cultivated for ourselves, but it definitely wasn't easy. We're not professionals by any means. We had no building experience, and it took us far longer than we expected. We have a lot of upcycled materials. We were balling on a budget when we built this bus. Honestly, looking back on it, I wish we would have built more space around it, because making this bed with zero space around it is the bane of my existence. I hate it. Hi, my name is Kade, and this is my wife and I's 26-foot-long skoolie. It is a International Thomas. It has a Allison transmission, and it's a DT466E engine. Brooke did a lot of research on trying to look for the perfect bus for us. Unfortunately for you, you're stuck with just me today, and she's typically the one that helps reel me back in when I'm rambling, so sorry about that. Brooke and I have been living in this bus full-time for 2 years now. The bus is retired from the school system, but that doesn't mean the bus is in bad shape. It had 200,000 miles on it, which may seem like a lot, but for a diesel engine, this thing will last till it's 500,000 miles on it. Once we had it, it really was no choice. We had to build it out over the course of 2 years, just one project at a time, and it took us far longer than we expected. When we were building this out, we both were working 60, 70-hour work weeks. We were trying to save as much as we possibly could. It was really important for us to be debt-free. So we paid off our debt, which was a really tough thing to do. And then all of the money that we were making was going into the bus. We would show up to our friends' birthday dinners with PB&J sandwiches so that we didn't have to spend money going out to dinner. We also were able to upcycle and salvage a lot of our materials that probably were just gonna be trashed or go to waste, and we were able to kind of turn it into what I believe to be a beautiful home. We bought the bus as is for $4,000. Brooke will say we put $20,000 into the build. I think it was around $15,000. Monthly budget, like day to day. Typically we shoot to spend around $600 in gas, $20 for laundry, groceries for the both of us. We try and stay around $500. It used to be $400, but you know, inflation. Because Brooke does work remotely, we do have to pay for Starlink. It is quite literally the only thing that works. For us to like be able to go out to eat, excursions and things like that, we try and budget around $500. So I don't know what that totals out to, but I'm sure whoever's editing this can put the total in. Starting out with Bandit's nose. He is a dog-nosed bus. He also is a Taurus. Look at his horns. He actually was born in the month of Taurus, but we were gonna put the horns on either way. I just thought it looked really cool, and we wanted the outside of the bus to have just as much character as the inside. The bandit across the top were stickers that we had custom made, and so then I didn't have to worry about it being perfect, because it did need to be perfect. We had a massive paint party with all of our friends who helped us sand and paint all in a day. Unfortunately, some of our friends got a little carried away with the keg that we got and didn't sand all the way properly. So we've had to touch up some spots without the sprayer, but that's okay. Again, he's got character. Keeping the door a bus door was something that was really important to Brooke. All we did was cut the hinges on one side and then fuse the door back together with 16 gauge steel on the bottom, middle, and top there. We threw this handle on for a door handle. So come on in and we'll give you a, not we, it's just me, we'll give you a tour of the bus. The first stop on our tour is the driving quarters. This is where I am 90% of the time. Brooke isn't the best driver, and I get vertigo. So this is typically my role, is to drive. She is the best co-pilot ever. In terms of making sure that I get snacks and water and anything else I need while I drive. This cowhide seat actually used to be our rug, and then we found a gentleman that was willing to reupholster the original bus seat for us. He allowed us to just kind of pick through all the different materials he had in terms of the leather, and then we just asked for white stitching and kind of let him have his way with it. It is starting to get worn, which I'm a little sad about. We're trying to preserve as much of it up here as we can, but it used to be our rug in our apartment. So then across here, we very much like to focus on national parks. So we've got all of the national parks that we've been to stickered across here. We're hoping to add a lot more this year, hopefully. And then up here we have our original prototype of the bus. We actually went to Home Depot and made a model of the bus before even buying it out of paint swatches. That was our little dream in this little frame right here, and we just really wanted to keep that in the bus as like part of our story. And obviously, Western theme with the longhorns and everything else. We've got a few cowboy hats. It's just, it's part of the aesthetic. But Brooke did grow up riding horses, and I, coming from a city girl life, kind of got thrown into it and fell in love as well. But I think that's about it for up here. We can go ahead and move to the back. Here we go. Right behind our driver's seat, we have our dinette where we do most of our eating and coffee in the mornings. We have storage underneath both. This one holds our controller and all of our electrical wires and fuses. And this one holds two 200 amp lithium batteries, giving us 400 amp hours. This also drops down into a nice couch for when we want to host, or a very not so comfortable guest bed. Something that we didn't think about is the fact that Brooke and I both really love hosting. And so as you can see, there's really only room for one and a half people, maybe, if even that. And so an afterthought of, if you do like to host, make sure you give yourself more seating. You could potentially like have these be on slats and pull out and be able to sit at least a couple more people for game nights or family dinners or, you know, things like that. But yeah, we've got a lot of date nights on this table, and that's really nice. Something that was really important to Brooke was our windows remaining bus windows. It does nothing for our insulation and temperature control in here, but when we're parked in places like this in Baja, Mexico on the beach, it's really lovely for morning views and sunsets from bed. So it's a trade-off for sure, and definitely a choice that you should make if you build a bus. We've got these nice blinds that we got. I think we got them off Etsy, but they're just like little wicker. It's not like completely blocking people from seeing in here, but it's a vibe. And then we also made the choice to paint a lot of our bus white because of us constantly being outside and dirty. Definitely would maybe rethink that. People kicking around on here, dirt, we paint probably at least once a year. We repaint everything because it just gets so dirty. Jumping across the aisleway here, we have our only source of heat, which is this Solo Wilder wood burning stove. We have also used it to cook when we run out of propane, because you can just throw a pot on here and throw some logs of wood in, and it does make us feel feral, like back in the day where you actually had to create heat for yourself instead of turning it on. But yeah, this thing is the best. If it's cold out, I think this heats the bus up in like 5 minutes and I'll be in my skivvies because it's so hot in here. And that's kind of our only source of heat in the bus. We also don't have AC, so typically we do try and follow the weather, and a lot of the times if we do light this, it's mostly just for the vibes and just having a nice crackling fire while we sit at our dinette and have a glass of wine. It's quite nice. When we are in colder weather, we'll store wood underneath here. It also becomes somewhat of our junk drawer, as one would say. We have just like our basket of like random things. We've got our shower bag so that it's like easily to grab when we are around a Planet Fitness. We have a shower in here, but sometimes you just want to turn some hot water on and sit there for 30 minutes. And we only have 40 gallons of water in here, so A shower outside of the bus is necessary at least once a month, in my opinion. We decided to carry on the concrete from the bathroom. We used this material. We really wanted it to have that natural feel in here. It comes in white, and then you can dye it different colors. There's like reds and greens. We decided on the gray again because we just wanted that natural feel. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of upcycled materials. We were balling on a budget when we built this bus. So this is actually recycled tin from Brooke's family farm. It was an old silo that had collapsed. And so we just cut out a bunch of sheet metal from that and used it to make these custom little cabinet doors. And we really like how they turned out. Floor talk, we're on the floor. We decided to go with a sheet vinyl. It rolls, it literally, you get however much length you want on it. And we just put some glue down and rolled it out. It was cost effective for us, and also you didn't have to go through like buckling everything in. We didn't really know if life on the road would affect like the clip-in kinds, so this was just seemed the easiest to us. It rolls up like an inch or two on the sides as well, so if we do spill anything, we know it's not getting to any of our subfloor. I don't know how much insulation we have down there. I think it's 2 inches. I'm not sure. So we just thought this was the easiest way for us to get some flooring down, and we just built everything on top of it. We've got live edge countertops. Brooke's dad was in construction and thankfully had a contact who this wood was going to get thrown out. And we said, no, we'll take that. And so we merged it ourselves. You can still see a little bit of our pencil line there. I really love seeing that. It just reminds me of like when we started to do this build, we had no experience. Hence this roping that you'll see throughout the bus. We're not professionals by any means. We had no building experience, and so we used that to cover our imperfections of seams and things like that. We definitely stuck with a rustic kind of cottage-ish Western vibe so that it didn't have to be perfect, and it's just part of the character. These cabinets we got raw from Home Depot and then customized them. So we painted the backsplash kind of white, we did the stain, and then ordered this rattan to kind of give it some life rather than it just being a boring cabinet. All of our food is under here. We've got, I think, 4 plates, 1 pan. That's our 1 pan and 1 pot. We don't like a lot of dishes, and by we I mean Brooke. She doesn't like clutter. If it were up to me, we'd have a lot more. This was really important to Brooke. She really likes soup, and so she really wanted one of these little slide outs for soups and veggies and all kinds of things of that nature. Her mom picked out this stick, and we used it as a handle because it didn't come with one. Stepping back another foot into our kitchen, we have a really deep sink. We picked this out because we wanted it to be big enough to fit a baby potentially one day. We went with stainless steel. This little guy can actually swing around and be an outdoor shower as well, which is nice for when we're rather sandy on a beach and you can just do a little rinse that way. Again, with the live edge, we have this Hike Crew camp stove. It's just got 2 burners on it. And then in behind, we have an 11-pound propane tank that kind of fuels it. It typically lasts us maybe a month and a half-ish, 2 months, just depends on how much we're using it. The oven does work, but it typically either burns the bottom and cooks the top, or cooks the bottom and then the top is not all the way cooked through. So baking is not happening in this bus often. Underneath here, we have our hot water tank. We can't leave it on, but we can turn it on for 15 minutes and it heats up the 5 gallons that's in the tank, and we can get somewhat warm of a shower if we really, really want it. Brooke took the time to insulate all of our pipes underneath here too. There has been times where we've been in 30-degree weather and a pipe bursting is the scariest possible thing that could ever happen, I feel like. So we took all precautionary measures to make sure that that doesn't happen. Believe it or not, we just built this. We were tired of our spices taking up our entire only cabinet for food. So we were like, let's just add a shelf. And that's the beautiful thing about a bus that you build. You can just add things as you go. If things aren't perfect the first time, you can just add to it. And so we've got all of our spices, a fake plant because we can't keep real ones alive, and then just a couple glasses. The only place where I'm allowed to collect things is this fridge, and it's stickers. We've been in here for 2 years. So this is stickers that people have given us, things that we've bought from places that we've traveled. And I really love it. It's one of the only things that has color outside of the neutral tones in the bus, but it brings me so much joy. Something that also was added a couple months after we hit the road is this baby latch, because our fridge opened up and pickle juice and red marinara sauce went all over our white walls. So we've got a decent size, I'd say apartment size. It's not full size, but it's not like the college fridge that doesn't have a freezer. That was something that was really important to Brooke. So that's really nice that we're able to have ice cream if we want. It is DC powered, so it doesn't take up too much energy, which is really nice. And then we have a fan here and at the front. They don't really do a lot. They're really small. And and the mesh doesn't come out, so we can't really clean them that well, which is really bothersome to us. And here we have our 3 mugs that we use for coffee and various drinks. And are you ready for this? Isn't that lovely? Those typically will come down if we're going down a rough road as well, but it is kind of funny to listen to them clank around occasionally. Down here we have 4 drawers for clothes in 1 closet. We've got our pants in here, and then we were gonna use this as another drawer for clothes, but then realized we had nowhere to put our dirty laundry, so now it's for our dirty laundry. We share this closet. We actually wear all the same clothes, which is really nice because it's basically double the wardrobe. We also wear the same size shoe. That's the best. Very few jackets right now because we're in Baja, Mexico. We've got a little bit of storage up here for like hats and sunglasses and bandanas. We're a big accessory family. Then we've got our bed. It is a full-size bed. Honestly, looking back on it, I wish we would have built more space around it, because making this bed with 0 space around it is the bane of my existence. I hate it. These are our 2 other storage cubbies, I guess. We've got socks and undies in that drawer and our shirts in this one. We just started adding some art back here. It used to just be the banjo, but then we saw another friend of ours and they have a lot of art in their rig, and I was like, I want more art in my rig. Something that also was added back here that I really thought was ridiculous at first was a light switch to be able to lay in bed and turn off our lights so we don't have to go to the front of the bus to turn them on. It's a small thing, but it is honestly really convenient sometimes. We have a little fan back here to help kind of push more fresh air in when we want. There's a jackalope back here that you'll see, and that is a family heirloom. It was my dad's and no one from my siblings wanted it, and I was like, yeah, it's gonna be ours. And he looks over us and makes sure that we're safe while we sleep. Brooke hates all of my pillows. They take up half of our bed, but it's really nice. We've got obviously all the windows open back here, and right now you've got a beautiful view of the Sea of Cortez out there, and it's really nice to wake up to. The sun rises out here and we can just lay in bed. We can even open this back door and really have that view from bed. There's a lot of storage underneath the back. We basically use it as our garage. We've got tools and paddle boards and things like that that we don't use on a daily basis. We do have the motorcycle that we rack in the back. Sometimes that's a little tricky because we can't access it unless we take the bike down. Another afterthought, if we would have got a bus that had the door open back here and the side one so that we could have accessed it from 2 points, would have been nicer, but again, not something you think about until you're living it. All right, hopping up to our last stop inside the bus. We've got our bathroom. This door was built by Brooke's great-grandfather. It used to be the old chicken coop door on the farm, and we went in and dug it out and upcycled it to now be our barn door. A lot of people would say, why would you put a barn door in a bus? And the truth is, we just liked it. It doesn't make sense, but I love it. Same material as we used for our wood burning stove, but in here we had to put a clear coat to make sure that it was watertight. And it's a wet bath, so we were able to kind of get everything in there. We have 40 gallons of water in this bus for the two of us, and Brooke always likes to say that typically a person uses 20 gallons of water in an 8-minute shower, which would not last. We typically only use this if we're like desperate, and it's a bird bath. You like wet your body, throw some soap on and do a quick rinse. You're not standing in there for an hour doing an everything shower in here, but I do think it's worth it in terms of like, we're not always around to Planet Fitness, and so just to have this to be able to at least have some ounce of dignity to clean ourselves is really nice. We've got our Trillino composting toilet. We use toilet paper just like everyone else, and then we use like bedding, like pet bedding for like rabbits and stuff. We just put that over top. We're done with the business. Also, I forgot to show you our light switches. I made all of these from scratch instead of buying them from a store because I just thought it would be cute. And so all of our light switches are custom made by yours truly.
What do other people think of your tiny home? What do they think?
Well, I don't know, you tell me. I think a lot of people thought we were a little bit crazy. I think a lot of people maybe doubted the fact that we would actually do it. But now that we're done and we've been living in it for 2 years, a lot of people will say, oh, you're so lucky, you're so, you know, you're this, you're that. But at the end of the day, like, it took a lot of sacrifice to build. And again, we are very, very grateful for this lifestyle that we've cultivated for ourselves, but it definitely wasn't easy. If you can do a build with a partner, I think your relationship is pretty solid. We quickly realized that we work very differently, and I think the combination of both of our attributes and the way that we did things truly helped us make this dream a reality. Looking back on it now, it doesn't seem that bad, but I remember there was a lot of long work days and blood, sweat, and quite literally tears going into this. And we're both really happy with how it turned out.
If you like this week's episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and check back soon because we have new unique home tours publishing all the time. And if you'd like to join our team and get access to members-only content and unique perks, make sure you click on the join button below.